Star Wars Unlimited enthusiasts, welcome to round 1 of February 26th Star Wars Unlimited Night over at Valkyrie Vault in Brownsburg, Indiana. If you guys are looking for a place to play some Star Wars Unlimited, check out Valkyrie Vault in Brownsburg, Indiana. Thursday nights, 6 p.m., $5 entry. And this is our last Thursday in the Secrets of Power meta. That is right. Once rounds 1, 2, and 3 here for February 26th are completed, we will begin reviewing the local gameplay for A Lawless Time. And I'm pretty hyped. I think Lawless Time is, so far, what I've played so far, has been a lot of fun. So for round 1, we have Thrawn Spark Yellow versus Boba JTL Yellow. So I've really never played the Thrawn from Spark Rebellion, but I have a good friend who comes to locals, who has the showcase, who played this double yellow strategy. So the whole strategy is that you're on double yellow, you're playing Thrawn's ability to rest stuff, and you're basically you're playing a control deck. That's your own thing. Thrawn on this front. So every regrouping phase, you look at the top card of both of you and your opponent's deck. This does work in Twin Suns as well. All your Twin Sun opponents have to show you your deck as well. And then you can do action. Pay 1, tap them. You can reveal the top card of either player's deck, and you can rest a unit with cost less than or equal to the card revealed. So basically, if you know what your opponent's card is, you can reveal it, and then rest something on it. He flips on 6, and he's a 3/9 on his backside. Yes, he's very tanky on his backside. Does the exact same thing. On attack, reveal either player's top card of their deck, rest a unit that has cost less than or equal to the revealed card. So the whole gimmick of this deck is to usually get out the double yellow Zuckuss from LOF that states on attack, name the top card of your opponent's deck. They discard it. If the name is correct, you get a +4 bonus to your attack. So the whole gimmick here is that you know the top card of your opponent. You're going to play the Zuckuss. You're going to be able to utilize the Zuckuss effect to mill the top cards of your opponent's deck, just so you can slowly mill them out of any of your good stuff, or you just know what's coming up as well. You just play control. One way to get the Zuckuss out very quick is that you have now there are 2 of them from Twilight of the Republic back when this, of course, was legal in Premiere. Then you'd be able to have an Underworld guy. You could play out this, now there are 2, then play the Zuckuss for free, and then have the Zuckuss immediately active before your 5th turn play, your 5th resource turn. So yeah, that's the gimmick. Once again, as a reminder, everything you're watching here was before we rotated into the Lawless Time meta. This again is in the Secrets of Power meta, where sets 1 through 6 are legal. So again, once you see videos of the Lawless Time meta, only sets 4, 5, 6, and 7 are legal in Premiere. Everything else is now in legal and eternal. So without further ado, let's jump into game number 1. Alright folks, here we go for game number 1. Boba's going to start off with a Screeching TIE Fighter. On attack, you can remove a keyword from one of your opponents. I'm going to go for an Aura Sing, which does have a keyword. We're going to go for 2 Screeching TIE Fighters. Again, does have a keyword of Hidden and Raid on it, which means the Screeching TIE Fighter on attack can remove my Raid here, which means Aura Sing only swings for 1 damage. Typically, Aura Swing has Raid 2 on it, which allows me to swing for 2. But I did take the initiative here since my opponent decided to play another Screeching TIE Fighter. My opponent has a TIE Bomber on the top. I didn't show my top card, but anyways, we're going to swing for the 3 damage here just before that Screeching TIE Fighter hits, and immediately starts removing that Raid off of me. So we're going to go Screeching TIE Fighter, swinging for 2. No point in turning off any abilities because clearly I already swung. I'm going to go for, of course, the Miss Hunter that on attack, if you played a Bounty Hunter or card or pilot, you can draw 1 card. So anyways, we have the Dengar under there. So anyways, we're going to swing Dengar onto the TIE Fighter, and then we're going to have trigger the Dengar to deal 1 indirect damage. Unfortunately, Dengar doesn't have... Oh no, sorry, it's 2 indirect damage, and then if he's attached to an Underworld unit, he can deal 3 indirect damage. Then we have a tap of the Boba there to deal 1 indirect. So I took the 2 indirect on Aura, and then the 1 indirect from, of course, Boba onto the Miss Hunter here. I did claim the initiative as well. Unfortunately, I need to play either a Bounty Hunter or a Piloting Bounty Hunter card to allow it. So my opponent's going to show the top card there. Apologies, I didn't really get much of a good view here to show you like the top cards. But anyways, we're always triggering that. By the way, I do forget that multiple times actually have Thrawn's ability to go up. We're going to go for Cunning to rest both of these units, and then I'm going to decide what I want to do with the +4 here. So I'm deciding I'm going to put the +4 under the Miss Hunter here. I'm just keeping the card there just to let me know that I have the +4 trigger. So anyways, we're going to go for the Type Bomber into the battlefield here, and then we're going to be able to figure out what we want to do. We're going to swing in 3 damage from the Aura Sing. there. Then we're going to go for the 𝐒𝐉𝐾 Starhopper from the Boba side of it, just pushing over. Again, Boba is very much a space deck, so we expect to see a lot of space units. If you see me tapping the screen, that is me making sure my camera is staying within focus of this battlefield right now. So anyways, we're going to then just swing a whole 7 damage there from, of course, the Miss Hunter, thanks to the +4 from the good old Cunning here, as we're immediately just going to pass a turn from there, moving on to the next round. I do have the ability to play 𝐒𝐓𝐾𝐄 this turn if I want to. Again, I didn't get the Miss Hunter draw 1 trigger because I didn't play a Bounty Hunter or Bounty Hunter pilot that card that turn there. Again, the problem is I have a lot of ground stuff right now, not a lot of space stuff. So I'm just kind of getting murdered in the space arena, as you can clearly see, with 2 Screeching TIE Fighters, 1 TIE Bomber with 3 indirect damage, and 1 𝐒𝐉𝐾 Starhopper. So anyways, we're going to go for the Screeching TIE Fighter, immediately dealing 3 indirect damage, of course, 2 from the Dengar, 1 from the Boba Fett here, and I have to decide where I want to go. So we're going to just put all 3 of it onto the Miss Hunter here, killing it off, and then, of course, the damage coming at the base here as well. So anyways, then the Screeching TIE Fighters. Then we're going to play out the 𝐒𝐘𝐄 for the 5 turn. Then we're going to go for the 𝐒𝐉𝐾 Starhopper. We're going to deal 2 more damage. We're going to go for 1 damage here because, again, the Screeching TIE Fighter negate turned off Aura's powers. Then we're going to deal 3 indirect damage. I'm going to put that on the 𝐒𝐘𝐄 here from the TIE Bomber here. Then we're immediately going to be able to put out the Punishing 1. Punishing 1 gets raid 1 for each single individual. It gets a raid 1 for each wounded unit on the board state here. So in this essence, my opponent is going to get a raid 2 on the on the Punishing 1 because I have 2 wounded units. So not actually a bad play there. I'm pretty sure most people were, I believe, forget what for this event, but I think a couple of people we had for this event were trying out decks utilizing post rotation deck building strategy. So anyways, we're going to swing. I'm going to name the Galleon off the 𝐒𝐘𝐄, and I'm going to be able to do 8 damage from the 𝐒𝐘𝐄 there. Again, I did name the top card of my opponent's deck because, again, thanks to Thrawn seeing it. So getting rid of the Galleon is pretty nice. So anyway, Screeching TIE Fighter, 3 indirect damage coming at me. Just kind of figuring out what we want to really do here. Again, the problem is I have no idea what my opponent's top card of their deck is here. I'm going to take 1 indirect damage, and I still have 2 more that I have to take here. And then I'm going to have to take the Screeching TIE Fighter's attack as well. So that does put me up to 14 here. I'm going to have to figure out what we want to do because, again, the Boba Fett now does get the flip. Exact same turn, I get the flip as well. And that's the thing. I have no idea what's on top card of my opponent's deck right now. Again, if it attaches to the 5 or the 2, I can have a pretty good chance depending on what my top card of the deck was. But again, if it attaches to the Punishing 1, unless I've hit a 5, I can't really do much with Thrawn. That is my problem right now, is I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to get out of this, because now the Screeching TIE Fighter has also turned off Aurra Sing's ability as well. So I'm not in the greatest position. I do have the 𝐒𝐿𝐾𝐄 in hand, so I could tend to just swing the Aurra Sing for 1 damage, and then 𝐒𝐿𝐾𝐄 back to then kill one of the Screeching TIE Fighters here for that. So I'm just going to go for the 𝐒𝐿𝐾𝐄. I'm going to bounce back the 𝐒𝐘𝐄 here, and then immediately be able to going to figure out what I want to kill. So I'm going to kill off the other Screeching TIE Fighter just to mitigate 2 damage coming at me. And then we're going to immediately see the Fett's Fire Spray. We did have a question of whether or not, from a judge, of whether or not the Fett Fire Spray does get to come in. We did decide to rule it for that. Rule it does get to come in because he's recognizing the Boba leader on the battlefield, even if the Boba leader is an upgrade here. So anyways, I'm just going to bounce back the Fett's Fire Spray, and then I'm going to play the good old Thrawn here. I do have the Hot Shot Blaster in here, but unfortunately Hot Shot Blaster is going to do much. And then 1 injury. Damage coming down, of course. Boba killed off Aurra Sing here, and then I took 1 damage. My thing mainly getting the raid 1. I'm going to show off a Guardian to rest down the 𝐒𝐉𝐾 Starhopper here, and then swing for there. And then basically I can take the initiative here. I believe I have Surprise Strike in my hand, but my opponent is going to take the initiative there and basically ensure that I can get killed off here, because again, there's no way for me to knock out that deal with the Punishing 1 here. So, I mean, that's the one problem I have, is that the Punishing 1 is extremely dangerous. We both look at the top card of our deck. That still happens even on Thrawn's backside here. Just kind of figuring out now what my opponent wants to do. I mean, literally, it's just tack, with my opinion, just tack with the Hunter. Anyways, we're going to go for the Screeching TIE Fighter. I'm not sure why they didn't decide to go tack with the Punishing 1, and then I'm going to take a whole bunch of damage. We're going to go swing 3 at my opponent's base. I'm going to reveal Cad Bane, resting the Punishing 1. Again, I'm just going to keep the top card of my deck revealed here, because both me and my opponent know what it is. There's no point in revealing it. We know we're going to draw into it. Yeah, I think my opponent messed up there. They should have swung with the Punishing 1, and then be able to probably, I think that Punishing 1 gets the +3, +4. That would have been 7. I was at 20. Actually, no, it wouldn't. It would have been 28, so I would have been left on 1 health point left. But again, that's the problem. Even I would have been dead here either way, because, well, I guess no, because I could still revealed and then rested down the 𝐒𝐉𝐾 Starhopper. But I guess no, there would have been no way for me to actually win it. So that's the thing. I think my opponent messed up because if they had gone for the punishing one first, deal 8 damage to my base, put me at 29, that would have won the game. So they are talking with the judge here about the Fett's Fire Spray, because now Boba Fett's an upgrade. That's the Fett's Fire Spray from Spark of Rebellion, recognize Boba Fett as an upgrade. So we do decide to just rule it, that it does decide. We're going to do Gardenian, I'm going to just say Fett's Fire Spray, immediately revealing it and discarding it there, so I don't have to worry about it coming after me at all. But again, I think my opponent really really messed up. They could have gotten the win there by going punishing one first, and then going from there. Because yeah, I mean, there's not much else they could do. I mean, I'm just kind of showing it. The TIE Bomber swings. I put all 3 indirect damage on Gardenian because I'm going to just claim the initiative here. And then Thrawn's going to be able to swing for game here because, again, they're at 5, 6, 7, 8, 28, and I'm at 26. I think they could have won this if they'd gone punishing one here first, done 8 damage to me on 21. I would have been at 29, and then nothing else. Everything else would have killed. These two would have killed me because all I could have done is drawn, look at the top card of my opponent. Look at the top card, rest one thing, but the Targaryen Starhopper kills me in that instance. But nonetheless, that means we're going to go to game number 2. All right, folks, welcome to game number 2. I do need to correct something from game number 1 here because I am starting. I actually lost game number 1. My opponent took the initiative on me in game 1. So all I could do is do down the Gardenian and then bounce the Fett's Fire Spray, but they just claimed the initiative and basically was able to kill me with any one of the units on their board state there. So technically, actually, we're going to game 2 with me down 1 game. Apologies for that one. I actually lost game number 1 as we move into game number 2. For game number 2 here, I am starting out. Here's clearly, you can see by my marker, I'm going to go with the Aura Sing here. My opponent's going to start off with a Screeching. Potentially a Screeching TIE Fighter. I'm just going to claim the initiative again, and we're going to go for another Screeching TIE Fighter. Man, it just looks like turn 1 last game as well, as I'm going to draw my one and only Cad Bane, by the way. That is my only copy of him. I've only got 1 legendary Cad Bane from Twilight Republic. Now, I don't worry much about that anymore, because now Premier's... He's rotated Premier now. So anyways, I'm going to swing 3 damage into Aura Sing again. We're going to take a look at the decks as soon as I remember that we're supposed to be looking at the top card of our decks with the Thrawn here. But anyways, 3 damage coming in from the Aura Sing there before the Screeching TIE Fighters hit. So anyways, 1 Screeching TIE Fighter swinging in. I'm kind of deciding on what I really want to do here. My hand doesn't look great. So anyways, we're going to go for, now there are 2 of them, reducing the cost of Zuckuss by 5 there, allowing me to play him for free. Unfortunately, that's not the Zuckuss I wanted, the double yellow Zuckuss. Anyways, we're going to go for, that's Torpedo Barrage. Basically, I deal 4 indirect damage of your choice, and then 6. I think it's 5 indirect damage of your choice, and then Boba triggering on that one. So again, I mean, what else is Boba in yellow going to do other than just play a whole bunch of things that do indirect damage here? So just kind of figuring out what we want to do. We're going to take a look at the top cards of our deck here, and I'm going to figure out what I want to do here. So again, I could potentially do some things. We're going to go trigger Thrawn here to reveal the top card of my opponent's deck. There's going to be another Torpedo. We're going to rest one of the Screeching TIE Fighters just so I don't have to take both Screeching TIE Fighter attacks on us. But that does reveal my opponent has a Torpedo at the top of their deck. Anyways, we're going to go for a Surprise Strike, dealing 5 damage to that. Being able to go here, we're going to go for a Hotshot Blaster, taking the top, smuggling out a Hotshot Blaster onto the Zuckuss, and then swinging for 8 damage from the Zuckuss there. Again, I did have a second Hotshot Blaster in my resources there for Thrawn. Anyways, we're going to then take the initiative on my opponent's side. They're going to deal 1 damage from the Aura Sing because of Screeching TIE Fighter effect. And then basically that's all she wrote for that round there. So I'm kind of right now in an uphill battle somewhat. So anyways, we're going to take a both look. I do know my opponent has a Torpedo Barrage again, which means that I can potentially take another 6 indirect damage to my face again because of the Boba trigger as well, which potentially may all be going into the base here because of the fact Aura Sing and Zuckuss are nearly dead. So anyways, we're going to deal 2 damage from the Screeching TIE Fighter here. Then we're going to turn off Aura Sing's ability with the Screeching TIE Fighter effect. I'm trying to figure out what I kind of really want to do here. I do have another Hotshot Blaster I could go with. I do have Surprise Strike here. I do have the ability to go for Thrawn. We're going to go for Thrawn's effect and reveal top card of my opponent's deck. We're going to rest down, of course, the Screeching TIE Fighter because 1 is less than 2. We're going to go for another 6 indirect damage. We're going to ping 1 more damage onto Aura, 1 more damage onto Zuckuss, and then I'm going to have to take the remainder 4 onto my base here. And kind of figuring out what else I really want to do here. And we're going to go for a Surprise Strike immediately on the Zuckuss to immediately deal a whole bunch of damage there. So swinging a whole lot. Not too bad. I mean, it's not still great by any means. I'm still kind of up a hill right now because my Aura Sing isn't doing the great amount of damage. But anyways, my opponent is at 23. We're going to deal 1 more damage there to push that, and then we're going to pass there. I do have the Cad Bane trigger in a couple turns here. I am deciding just to go put down the Cunning here. Man, the thing that card back when I first started on was expensive, and then I just had to pick it up. Anyways, Boba under Screeching TIE Fighter immediately going to kill off both units because they only have 1 health point each. So the Boba just immediately gets that kill off there. So we're going to take a look at the top cards of each of our decks here. I just tell my opponent that there's not really much of a point. Technically we passed it, but technically I should have seen it, just in case I wanted to use the Thrawn ability onto it. So I'm just kind of figuring out what I want to do here. I do have the ability to go for the Cunning, but there's not anything secondary-wise to do with the Cunning. I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I want to do as well. If I want to go for the Thrawn trigger to go hit for anything. Anyways, I'm going to reveal my opponent's deck, and then the War Juggernaut's there. That's pretty nasty to see on the top card of my deck. My opponent's going to then swing for 2 here, and then we're going to go flip for the Thrawn. And then we're going to be able to figure out what we can do. Here, my opponent is at 24, so if I can hit them for 6 damage points, I basically win the game from here. So anyway, we're going to go for Fet's Fire Spray. Again, we did get a rule that Fet's Fire Spray does come there. So anyways, we're going to do 5 damage to my opponent's base here. 5 damage, and then yeah, and then we can reveal the top card of the deck again, triggering Thrawn's ability, and then that's just going to be a scoop up there from my opponent, because even if they claim, there's no way to actually deal with me. So what happened there is that I used Thrawn's front side to res Boba, showing off the War Juggernaut, and then I swung with Thrawn on his backside. His backside effect does the exact same thing. I then targeted Fet's Fire Spray, because Fet's Fire Spray is 6 as well, so they are equal to each other, meaning that then Fet's Fire Spray gets rested. My opponent can, yes, take the initiative, but nothing there can kill me, and then the Thrawn technically just wins the game off that because I swung already 5 damage under their base, leaving them on 1 health point left. So that basically means that I took game number 2, meaning we have that all-important game number 3. Welcome, folks, to all-important game number 3. Here we go. My opponent is, of course, going to immediately be able to take the initiative here because they don't have anything to show. We're immediately just showing off our hands. We go for the Bazine. Again, I could discard 1 card out of their hand, and if I do, they immediately get to draw 1. So I'm going to get rid of the Fet's Fire Spray from JTL, the one that on attack deals 2 indirect damage every time. As you can see, my hand is not great here. I'm basically like struggling to find anything that does anything in my hand. So, I mean, I have double Cunning. At least I have now the Stolen AT Hauler, which is pretty nice here. So anyways, but no, we're going to drop down the droid missile platform. I'm going to go for the Stolen AT Hauler and immediately drop a card in my lap. My opponent's going to take the initiative, and I'm going to swing 1 damage at my opponent with the Bazine here. I do have the, I could have done, unfortunately you can't do, now there are 2 of them if you have a secondary unit on the board state. So anyways, not really great. So we're going to both take a look at the top cards of our deck there and figure out if I want to do anything with Thrawn here. My opponent does have the initiative, so they do get to go first here. Because again, the last action I took was a swing with that Bazine to deal 1 damage point to my opponent here. So again, we're going to figure out exactly what we want to do. And what's fun about this video is everyone was just kind of playing because everyone knew rotation was happening. Everyone was just kind of playing like just fun decks, just playing the last decks before the format ends and all of that. So as we take then the AT Hall, that's why I'm on double yellow Thrawn because I've never played him. Effect of IG 2000 to do 1 damage to each unit on the board. Then we're going to take 1 direct. I'm just going to ping Bazine for that 1 indirect damage, ping 1 more damage on my opponent's base with the Bazine, and then we're just going to have to pass because there's not really much else even I can do in this game state. My hand is kind of hot garbage right now. So I mean, my 4-turn play was to go Cunning for nothing. I technically could have bounced the unit back to my opponent's hand and technically burned a card out of my opponent's hand, but I'm not exactly sure 100% if I actually wanted to do that. Maybe I would have been a good idea, but anyways, we're going to go for the Boba under that trigger. If it does attach to a transport, it can deal damage point as well. So IG 2000, of course, is a transport, but just triggering the effect. So anyways, we're going to deal with 1 damage there from the Boba effect because he attached the transport, and then 1 indirect damage from the Boba. I don't want to take it on the Stolen AT Hauler because of the effect of the Stolen AT Hauler. I could put out the 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐾 this turn, but I'm deciding just to go for the Cunning trigger. I'm going to rest both of my opponent's ground units to get the +4 attack to the Stolen AT Hauler there in the sky, just trying to thin out, not taking all that damage to my face here. We're going to go for Dengar under the droid missile platform, and then we're going to then swing in for 8 damage under that, and then we're going to go for a Screeching TIE Fighter, and then my opponent, I'm going to claim, since my opponent played the Screeching TIE Fighter as their last thing here, and then we're just going to put the top card, I'm just going to put a 𝐒𝐓𝐾 away. There's not much else I can really do here. My problem is my Stolen AT Hauler is extremely dangerous to just get murdered off here very easily. So we're both going to take a look at the top cards of our deck here. So far, it's not going perfectly great. I'm going to trigger off the Thrawn, shotgun the Thrawn Thrawn Bacteria immediately be able to reveal the top card of my opponent's deck. It's going to be a Galleon, and I'm going to decide what I want to rest off of the Galleon here. I can rest everything on this board state. I'm just kind of figuring out what I really want to rest, because I know for a fact my opponents can go after the AT Hauler here and then potentially kill it. So I'm going to go after the IG-2000, resting that on the board state here. We're going to go for the Droid Missile Platform and the 2 indirect damage that the Droid Missile Platform does give. I'm going to put 2 onto the, I'm going to put actually 3 indirect damage, because again, the Boba alongside the Dengar effect there, putting me up to 10 here. So I'm going to kind of still need to figure out exactly everything I want to do here. We're going to go for 2 here. I am checking the bottom of my resources mainly because I'm looking for my Hotshot Blasters to ensure I don't accidentally put a Hotshot Blaster into my as a rested resource. So anyways, we're going to swing. Very interesting. I'm going to go flip for the Thrawn here. Interesting, not attaching. And then we're going to go for the Fet's Fire Spray to immediately do that. We're going to immediately hit it with no good to me dead to immediately rest it, and it can't restand and it can't restand the Rooping phase either, which is pretty nice, I guess. But nonetheless here, we're going to then swing 3 damage, putting my opponent up to 24 once again, meaning that they can potentially just straight up kill me. So anyways, Boba kill off AT Hauler, and then of course their last act, they do get divided, so they are just saying where they want it. So 3 damage on the Thrawn, 1 on the AT Hauler. I do point out my opponent can take the AT Hauler if need be. My opponent of course does not decide to take the AT Hauler. I'm just going to claim they could have taken the AT Hauler there, had one more ship in the sky there to punch me in the face, which I think would have been pretty deadly there, but unfortunately I did just draw the out. Even if they had the AT Hauler, I do get potentially the win here. So I just ask my opponent, they are all good, and then everything, and then I immediately be able to go immediately for a surprise strike for win of the game there. So yeah, but that's how it rolls down. So I had to take had to take 2 games to win with Thrawn double yellow. Nonetheless, guys, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Let me know your thoughts on the decks down in the comments. What are your thoughts on Boba JTL going into the Lawless Time meta? Do you think he's going to be potentially one of the 2 best JTL leaders we're going to have running around in this meta? And let me know, guys, have you ever tried Thrawn double yellow back in Premier, or are you guys going to eventually just try to give him a shot in Eternal? Let me know all of that down in the comments. And while you're commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you know if my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Modern Dragons TCG.